Well, hello again. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Again, my name is William, or Willie, if you want to call me that. We are attempting to, or I'm attempting to teach every chapter of the Bible from Genesis all the way through. This will be Genesis chapter 9. Thank you for watching the videos so far. Hopefully you've learned something and it has strengthened your faith in the Word of God. And maybe you've learned some things, and maybe you've disagree on some things, and that's fine too. Again, this will be Genesis chapter 9. Take some time before you listen to pause and read. Hopefully you're getting the pattern of this if you're watching all the videos, that you go ahead and read it even before you listen. In fact, I would recommend read it a couple times, in fact, so you can get better content, and you can also find out if you come to agree with what I'm saying, because I'm not God, I am not the experts. I'm just a guy who loves the Bible and loves to teach it, and there are things that I could be teaching that are wrong. In fact, I was in a Bible study the other day with some guys, and I said some things, and then as we read the context of the passage, I realized that on my own that I was wrong. So that can happen, and again, I'm not perfect, so if you wonder if something I may have said it doesn't sound right, comment, leave a message, and we can discuss it further. So this is Genesis chapter 9. So let's begin. And God blessed Noah and his sons and said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. The fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth and upon every bird of the heavens, upon everything that creeps on the ground, and all the fish of the sea. Into your hand they are delivered. Every moving thing that moves shall be food for you. As I gave you the green plants, I give you everything. But you shall not eat flesh with its life that is in its blood, and for your lifeblood I will require a reckoning. Every beast I will require it, and it from me. From the fellow man I will require a reckoning for the life of men." So he begins by talking about that he basically goes back to the beginning of what he told Adam and Eve. So he's saying, be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth. He's telling all the animals to, but one of the things we notice, there's a change here now, where animals and man got along and there was no fear of each other. It's now saying that all the animals will fear you, fear us, fear humans. Now I know if you were ever in a situation where you're face head up with a lion or a snake, you may be more afraid of it, or at least you think you're more afraid of it than it is of you, but the reality is it is more afraid of you. So God has put the fear of humanity in the animals. So the animals are afraid of us, okay? It doesn't always seem like that, like I said. The other thing is he said, now we can eat all of flesh. In the beginning, they only ate green vegetables or plants or fruit, like we see in the garden, but they didn't eat animals until this time. Now, there may have been pagans or people who, if you don't know what the word pagan is, people who didn't follow God, who died in the flood. They may have been eating animals before, but God's people, which Noah was the only one left, and his family didn't eat animals. So God is now telling Noah, go ahead and eat animals. But it says to make sure you don't eat it if it has blood in it. And the reason for that is blood is what gives it life. The blood is so important, and so they had to drain the blood out of it and then eat the animal. Okay? And it says, whoever sheds the blood of man, this is verse 6, whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed. For God made them in his own image. So I'm just going to talk about that for a second. What he's saying is that man is created in God's image, like we've talked about before. And so when you kill a man, you're actually killing an image of God. So if you kill someone, and even to this day, this is where you get the idea of the death penalty and things. If you kill another human being, a lot of times you'll be put to death. In this generation, if you killed any human beings, you would be put to death. And that was the custom, and we'll see that in the Levitical law, in Leviticus and other parts of the Old Testament. Now verse 7, it says, and you be fruitful and multiply, tame the earth and multiply on it. Then God said to Noah and his sons with him, Behold, I have established my covenant with you and with your offspring after you, and with every living creature that is with you, all the birds, the livestock, and every beast of the earth with you. So many as came out of the ark, it is every beast of the earth. I establish my covenant with you, and never again will all flesh be cut off by the waters of the flood, and never again shall there be flood to destroy the earth. A flood to destroy the earth. And God said, This is the sign of the covenant that I have made between you and every living creature that is with you for all future generations. Okay, let's stop and we'll get into the covenant. So basically he's saying that, sorry, I went too far. Again, he repeats this thing, be fruitful and multiply, but he also says tame the animals. So, rule over them, control them, herd them, things like that. And he goes into detail, every living creature, every bird, every livestock, every beast that's on the ground. And he says that he's made a covenant with all of them and all of us that he'll never flood and destroy the earth again, at least through the flood. We know that if you ever read Revelation and other parts of the Bible, there will be a destruction that's coming to the earth again, that he will destroy all of the world, and that's where he will start a new world where all people are either in heaven or in hell, and there's no more people being born or anything like that. And that's you read that through Revelation and 1st and 2nd Peter and Thessalonians, and there's a bunch of passages all over the Bible. Daniel, Ezekiel, and we'll get into that hopefully at some point. It's been a long way away, but at some point maybe we'll get to it, or maybe I'll jump to that part of Scripture and teach that, and then come back to where I left off. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So then in verse 13 it says, I have set my bow in the clouds, that I shall be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. When I bring the clouds over the earth, and the bow is seen in the clouds, I will remember my covenant, and that is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the water shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. When the bow is in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is on the earth. And God said to Noah, This is the sign of the covenant that I have established between me and all flesh that is on the earth. So basically, the word bow really means rainbow. Okay, so if you ever seen a rainbow after rain and clouds and things like that, the rainbow is a sign that from God to us that he will never flood the earth again. So anytime you see a rainbow, it's God's covenant. It's a reminder of God's covenant. Now it says that God will remember. It's not literally meaning that God will forget. God doesn't forget anything, but it's a symbol. It's more for us to understand and more for us to come to grips with the fact that God will never do it. He will never flood the earth again and destroy the earth that way, but he will destroy it a different way at the end of time, the end of the world, for anybody who doesn't know Jesus. If you don't know Jesus, you might want to pursue finding out what that means. I did mention in one of the other videos about Romans 10:9 and 10 and calling out the name of the Lord. That's very important. You can also ask me, and we could talk about it a different way. But it's very important to know that you're right with Jesus by giving your life to Jesus. In verse 18 it says, The sons of Noah who went forth from the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were the sons of Noah, and these people of the whole earth were dispersed. So basically it's saying that Noah had the three boys, but the three boys become father of all the world now. And they're also descendants, I should say this, I may have said this before, but they're descendants of Seth, okay? Noah is a descendant of Seth. So all of Abel's descendants and all of Cain's descendants are gone. There are no descendants of Cain alive. There are no descendants of Abel alive, and any other of the people that Noah's generations or kids that die or that they had are alive. All their descendants are gone. The only descendants that are still alive are Seth's descendants. And so then this is verse 20. Noah began Noah began to be a man of the soil and planted a vineyard. He drank of the wine and became drunk and laid uncovered in his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brothers outside. And Shem and Japheth took a garment and laid it on both their shoulders and walked backwards and covered the nakedness of their father. Their faces had turned backward, that they did not see their father's nakedness. When Noah awoke from the wine and knew what his youngest son had done to him, he said, "Cursed be Canaan. A servant of Canaan, the servant of servants shall be to his brothers." He also said, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and let the Canaans be his servant. May God enlarge Japheth, and let them dwell in the tents of Shem, and in the Canaan be his servants." After the flood, Noah lived 350 years. All the days Noah had lived was 950, and he died. So basically what happened was they plant this vineyard. Noah drinks the wine. Now this probably took some time. Obviously he didn't plant the vineyard and the grapes just grew instantly. It took some time. So as they were growing and reestablishing humanity, and Noah plants his vineyard, it grows, he gets the wine, he drinks it, and he becomes drunk, and he lays naked in his tent. Now, if we go back to the Genesis account, it said after Adam and Eve sinned, they realized they were naked and they were ashamed. The Bible uses nakedness as a shameful act. Like it's shameful. You're not supposed to walk around naked, right? That's why we wear clothes, to cover up our nakedness. And so he just laid naked. And it wasn't the fact that his son walked in and saw him naked. It was the fact that he did nothing about it. He should have covered his father and not told his brothers about it and put to shame. But the fact is he went to his brothers, and we're not really sure I'm not really sure personally how he presented it to his brothers, but his brothers felt like their responsibility was to cover their father's nakedness, but not to see his nakedness, because that's a shameful act. So they walk in backwards and cover his father so they never see him naked. So Noah curses his youngest son, because he, number one, saw his father naked, even though that was an accident probably. But the other thing was he didn't tell his brothers about it. Okay? I mean, he told his brothers when he shouldn't have told his brothers. He should have just covered him up and been done with it. But he didn't. And so through that, he got cursed. What exactly that means, we'll talk about that as we go along. But so that basically takes us through Genesis 9. Now, the next chapter of Genesis is another genealogy, which I talked to you about a genealogy in chapter 5, which if you break that down, if you haven't watched that, I'd recommend you watch it, because it lays out the gospel as well as gives genealogy and history of some people in the Bible. This particular genealogy is a little different. It has a different meaning, and I'll talk to you about that next time. Again, I hope you have a great day. Hopefully you're learning something from this and enjoying it as much as I've been enjoying doing it. And I will hopefully see you soon. And you have a great and wonderful day.